welcome to episode number 72 of the Cheesesteaks and Controllers podcast, presented by Fox PHL The Gambler, 102.5 FM, 1480 AM, and iHeartRadio. This is Jason Finelli, and I am the esports and gaming insider for Fox PHL The Gambler, coming at you after another busy week in the video game industry. Turmoil at Activision Blizzard once again, on a big launch week for them, with Call of Duty Vanguard coming out today, if you're listening to the day that this podcast dropped, November the 5th, Friday. Another take on World War II by the people at Sledgehammer Games, so I'm very interested to see what's going on with that one. League of Legends World Finals coming up this weekend. We'll get into why I think one team is just a shoe-in to win that tournament. But we're going to start the show off with a fantastic segment featuring one of our local sports teams and the newest esports facility to open in the city. I got a chance to take a look at it, and had a nice interview with one of the people behind it. So I'm excited to share that with you a little later in the show. Before we do any of that, however, let's get right in to the 6 in 60 seconds. Damwon Gaming and Edward Gaming win their semifinal matches in the League of Legends World's 2021 Championships, and the two teams will play this Saturday for the title. Activision Blizzard has announced a delay for Overwatch 2, but the delay will not impact the Overwatch League's decision to switch to the game in 2022. Washington Justice ownership group Washington Esports Ventures no longer are pursuing Chicago's Call of Duty League slot, leaving the league in limbo. Blizzard co-lead Jen O'Neill is stepping down at the end of the year, making Mike Ybarra the sole leader for the company. Niantic's Harry Potter AR game, Wizards Unite, will be shut down this January after only 2 years active. And finally, Netflix has officially launched its first slate of games under its new Netflix gaming label, with 5 mobile games launching this week exclusively on Android devices. Those are your 6 in 60 seconds. And as always, the 6 in 60 seconds are brought to you tonight by the sponsor of Cheesesteaks and Controllers, Ghost Shaver. The Ghost Shaver is designed to feel like an extension of your arm, allowing the user to reach anywhere on the head, face, or body. The precision cutting system gives you a close and smooth shave every single time, with 5 different rotary flex action super thin blades and a patented handle design that fits into the palm of your hand precisely. Easy to use, easy to clean. Go to ghostshaver.com and get yours. That's Ghost Shaver, a shave above the rest. Yes, those are your 6 in 60 seconds for the week. Based on the League of Legends finals, you just heard the two teams. Like I said, we'll get into it a little bit. But you can imagine why I think one is just an absolute shoo-in, and I'll get into that a little further. But first and foremost, thanks to the fine folks at the Philadelphia Union of the MLS, who just clinched a playoff spot. Thank goodness, after a big win on Sunday night. They clinched it before the win on Sunday, but the win certainly helps. We have our Philadelphia Union are now second in the East as of this recording. I am recording this segment on Tuesday night. Hopefully either staying right there in the standings or moving up to be able to host a playoff game later in the month of November. But we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about the current, and that is the grand opening of the Subaru Esports Hub, opening for the first time on Sunday night, Halloween, during the Union's final regular season game of the year. Right in front of Lot D, if you're familiar with Subaru Park, next to the clubs and suites entrances. The entrance, if you're in the stadium, is across from sections 118 and 119. Right now they have just like normal stadium doors. They're going to get some nice new glass doors. You can't miss it. The nice painting on the wall, good mural with a controller with the Union snake wrapped around it, and the Subaru Esports Hub right above it. And you walk in, and it's this beautiful blue lit room. Looks like it was just renovated just for this cause. Gaming consoles lining the walls, all preloaded with multiple games. And then a nice Subaru right there in the middle. Obviously, Subaru sponsoring the entire thing. It is a beautiful room. Right now, they are using PlayStation 4s, but I am told that they are getting PlayStation 5s soon, so they will have the latest and greatest console in there. The games that were preloaded while I was sitting there were Rocket League, FIFA 22, and Dirt 3, with the ability to download other games upon request, but only in certain situations. Like if you're having a birthday party there, they can download games to the console for you. Unfortunately, during game day, you're not going to be able to play things like Warzone or Fortnite or the free games because there are rules they have to abide by the ESRB, so you're not going to be able to play things like the really violent stuff or things like that. But that makes sense. You don't want some 6-year-old kid walking in there and loading up Call of Duty Warzone and playing his first match of Call of Duty in the Union Esports Hub. That's not the Subaru Esports Hub. It's not a good look, and they're trying to avoid that, which I completely understand. But what I want to do first is I want to get into the nitty-gritty of the things that are featured in the Subaru Esports Hub before I talk about my opinions of it right now. I'm going to read the very beginning of the official press release that came out when it was announced on October the 29th. So Subaru of America and Philadelphia Union unveiled the Subaru Esports Hub. Subaru of America Incorporated and the Philadelphia Union today unveiled the Subaru Esports Hub, an ultra-modern esports facility that is one of the first fully operational gaming centers in an MLS stadium. Subaru Esports Hub features 12 gaming stations with PS4 or PS5 consoles that will give fans the chance to play on state-of-the-art monitors in 1080p and up to 120 frames per second. 365-inch TVs line the walls where guests can catch the latest sports games or favorite Twitch streams. So, the space features 12 27-inch curved monitors with 1080p resolution and 144 Hz refresh rate, noise-canceling headphones with THX spatial audio from Rosar, I did see that, PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 consoles, FIFA 22, Rocket League among games installed, 365-inch TVs that show the matches if you're in there during game day, or Twitch streams if you're in there for another event that they may hold throughout the year, and full next-gen gaming plan in 2022, as I mentioned. So, it is a beautiful facility. It's obviously just starting. The consoles, the stations that are there, the chairs are comfy. The monitors are bright and beautiful. All of the consoles are connected in their own network. Like I got a chance to play. I did play a match of Fortnite with my contact there, not who I interviewed, a different person. We played a match of Fortnite duos. All of the consoles are connected to each other. You just have to know what number you're sitting at, and you can connect to them automatically. We joined a party with no issue. We hopped right into the game. We played through the duos game, and then at the end of it, it was we had won the match. Believe it or not, the two of us won the match. Just shooting the crap and having a good time. And we ended up winning the match, which was pretty cool. But I can see this being a very cool area during game day. Like if you have little kids and they get bored, or if it's halftime and you want to go down and check out the Esports Hub, play some games or whatever, that's a great place to do it. There are TV, like I said, the 365-inch TVs broadcast the same exact thing that the main screen does out there at Subaru Park. So you'll have the graphics, and then you'll have the game feed. So you'll have everything that's going on down on the field right there. If you're, involved in something and you don't want to leave, or if your kid doesn't want to leave, you will still have all the action right then and there. The ability, their plans to do things like community days or standalone events, or birthday parties was another thing that was mentioned to me. I can definitely see the potential there. I think with the plans that they are enacting that we discussed during my time in there in the near future, like they want to build like a battle station, like a stage where like if they hold their own streams, like think about like a fighting game tournament, right? Like a big gaming tournament. If you go to one of those, you'll see that there are consoles all over the place holding the tournament, but then there are main stages where the streams are happening, and only the best players, the really good matchups, end up on the stream. They want to do something like that. So if they're holding a FIFA 22 tournament and they know that two players that are coming up are really good, they could put them in the battle station or on the stage, and then they can do their match on stream for everyone watching at home. That's a great idea. I really do think that's a great idea. The only missed opportunity I think is that's there at the moment, and it was something we discussed, is that the Subaru car, beautiful car, inside the facility does not have a console in it. There's no console you can play in the trunk. There's no console you can play in the seats. And I feel like that's something they should definitely add. Get Exhibit in there for Pimp My Ride or something like that, and put the PlayStation 5 right in there inside the back of the truck, and let that be one of the stations that people can play in. I just think that would be pretty nifty. If they do it, not a big deal. I just think I think Subaru might go for it when they hear it as well. From everything I understand, Subaru was very, very in on the project. Definitely a collaboration, and not so much them just putting their name on it, which is a good thing. The more companies know about this industry, then the better we will all be for it. So I loved my time in there. I wasn't in there long. It was only about an hour. I would love to sink my teeth into it a little bit more. But I love what they did in there. I loved what they built. I love the passion that everyone in the room had for it. I'm excited to see more of what they have to offer in this facility. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what they come up with. But that's not all I have about the Esports Hub. I was able to sit down with the Senior Director of Partnership Marketing. Her name is Michelle Rosar. I was able to sit down with her inside the Esports Hub while I was there, and we had a great conversation about where the idea came from, the plans for it now, how the grand opening went, and things like that. So if you listen to this, stay with me right here. We're going to get into that interview right now. This is, again, Michelle Rosar, Senior Director of Partnership Marketing for the Philadelphia Union. Enjoy. Yes, so I am here sitting in the Subaru Esports Hub, the brand new esports facility within Subaru Park, the home of the Philadelphia Union, and I am sitting here with Michelle Rosar, the Senior Director of Partnership Marketing, one of the newest members of the Union team, and already a Senior Director. You're pretty important around here, aren't you?
Yeah, I would say so. No.
And we're here to talk about this brand new Esports Hub grand opening on Halloween night as the Union played here at home. Their final home regular season game, but hopefully not their final home game. We'll know later in the future. So walk me through a little bit of how this Esports Hub came to me. Take me back to the first planning, when that started, and how involved Subaru was in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we started talking with Subaru, developing a partnership with them, one of the things that was so important to them was getting involved with the community. And that was something that was also really important to the union, and something that we're constantly looking for new ways to engage, high schools, local colleges, any of the local community. And so when we started coming up with, hey, what would be a really good opportunity for us to engage the community, and knowing how popular esports are right now, the concept kind of came to life, and we're so excited to be here today actually launching the space. Yeah,
it's a really, really cool space in what was, I believe, a former storage closet. Is that what we talked about?
Yes, it has definitely had a large makeover. Very different.
You wouldn't be able to tell sitting in here that it used to just hold stuff for the grounds crew. So we're in here right now. There are how many stations? 12?
There are 12 stations currently. Definitely looking to expand in the future, but as of right now, yes, 12.
Yeah, so 12 PlayStation 4s set up throughout the entire room, each with their own chair, 2 controllers, a Razer headset, everything you would need to get going with some friends if you're here before the game. It does open pre-games, right?
Yes, so currently we have it open a few hours before the game starts, and then once the game starts, you can go in, watch the game, come down at halftime, play. So a lot of opportunity to play throughout the game.
Yes, and there's multiple games on each console. Obviously, you have to protect age ratings. There are some regulations you have to follow for children. So you'll have, I saw FIFA on there, I saw Rocket League, and I think Dirt 3, I think, is the other game that's on there right now. Are there other games you're thinking about in the near future that fit into that bill, or is it just those 3 for right now?
So for right now, those are the ones that we have loaded on, but definitely a lot of opportunities. One of the big purposes that we want to use this space for is to get the community involved outside of game day. So if we do tournaments, if we host birthday parties, there will be opportunities for people to come in and let us know what they want us to load on, and we can add more games.
Oh, so if you wanted to have like a 13-year-old's birthday party in here and they give you a request, you could have it loaded, ready to go. And is that something you could do, you think?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So how involved has Subaru been in the entire process? Are they the kind of sponsor where they just want their name on the marquee, or have they been on the ground since day one planning this thing out?
Subaru has absolutely been involved in this process. They find this as amazing as we do in terms of, what we can do in this space. The opportunities are here. We have a Subaru right in our space right now, yes, which is awesome. Actually have a car in the center. So Subaru's involvement, there was definitely a shared vision that both Subaru and the Philadelphia Union had that we were able to bring to life in this place.
Yeah, you could definitely see the influence. And yes, there is a car dead center. I still haven't figured out how they got this thing in here. They said they had to take the doors off, but I don't trust that they didn't have to take some bricks out too. But yeah, it's right here. You can check that out too while you're playing during a game. Very smart to open it in the final regular season game and hopefully have it open for some playoffs too, just to like have a trial run, for lack of a better term. Was that part of the strategy going into opening on that first night, or did you just want to, it was here, it was ready, why not open it?
This has been a work in progress for a while. We are excited that it was ready to go. So we actually had a private tournament the week before.
Oh, cool.
So, had some folks come in here, test it out, and then from there we wanted to do a public launch. And because of the fact that it was the last regular season home game, it was just such a cool opportunity to give folks a taste and, fingers crossed, depending on where we land with playoffs, to be able to hopefully have them here for a home playoff game.
Cool. So last question then. What are some of your future plans, both in the off season, which hopefully does not happen anytime soon, and into the 2022 season? I know we talked about there's some tournaments coming up through Union Esports with the new Call of Duty, and what other things do you have planned just in the near future?
Yeah, what's so exciting about this space is the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
So, as of right now, as I mentioned, we have 12 stations. We're looking to expand that. We're looking to, build out a battle station area, stage focus on that. A couple other secret things that are going to be coming down the pipeline. As we start to roll those out, we'll definitely be announcing them. But right now, at the moment, we're just excited to get people in here, get them playing, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, as you should be. It's a very, very cool space. Definitely one of the first of its kind, I think, in a stadium. I know the Wells Fargo Center has one too, but this is a very beautiful facility, and y'all should be very proud of it, everybody who is here and had a hand in it. So Michelle, thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing everything you do and hopefully being a part of everything that you do in here from next season and beyond.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, moving right along to our second topic of the episode here on Cheesesteaks and Controllers. Going to talk about the big final happening this weekend in the world of esports. Let's talk about League of Legends Worlds 2021, likely for the final time. The semifinals played out last week with Damwon Gaming taking out T1 in a riveting 3-2 set, and then Edward Gaming dispatching Gen G in a similarly riveting 3-2 set. So two teams that have earned their way into this final. Damwon Gaming Kia, DWG Kia coming in defending their Worlds 2020 crown. The defending champions once again make it to the finals, taking on a scrappy Edward Gaming team that hails from the LPL in China. So China versus Korea would not be the first time you've seen that in Worlds 2021. But it will be a absolutely banger of a match, I have no doubt whatsoever. Edward Gaming, actually the only Chinese team in the Final Four, having to deal with Gen G from Korea, Damwon from Korea, and T1 also from Korea. So who do I think is going to win this match? There are arguments both ways, obviously. Both teams have been playing some very tight games. Edward has had to deal with a lot more adversity in their path to the finals, going 4-2 in groups, and then needing a full 5 matches to beat Royal Never Give Up in the quarterfinals of knockouts, and then a full 5 matches again to beat Gen G in the semis to get here to the finals. That sort of adversity, or coming up over adversity and getting into the finals anyway, could bode well should the series with Damwon Gaming stretch to the 4 or 5 match range. I feel like they may have better longevity. Damwon Gaming only pushed to the brink once. That was in the last round, the semifinals against T1. Otherwise, not losing a single map or a single match the entirety of Worlds 2021. Their first loss of any kind was one of the two that they dropped to T1 in that eventual 3-2 series win. So Damwon Gaming finally showing some weaknesses, finally showing some scratches in the armor, as it were. And Edward Gaming may be able to exploit that going into this finals. But to be completely honest with you, the matches that I have watched from Damwon, even this T1 match where they had to come, I believe they had not come from behind, but they really had a tough time dispatching T1, and they're one of the best esports players of all time in Faker. But they did it. They got through it on the backs of their mid lane, their mid laner, Showmaker, their jungler, Canyon, and the other members of the team, particularly those coming from last year's championship team as well. Honestly, I don't see Damwon losing this. I think we're going to be looking at two-time champs come noon, 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. The match does take place at 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, as it is still hailing from Reykjavik, Iceland. Even though this is a Korean and a Chinese team, they are keeping the finals where the entire tournament took place. And like I said, I think Damwon has been too good. I've watched most of their matches throughout the entirety of Worlds, starting in the group stage, then going into the knockouts. And they have looked simply unbeatable in most of their matches. With no matter who was up against them, no matter who was trying to take them down, they would not be denied. Some of the most brutal losses in this Worlds 2021 were at the hands of Damwon Gaming. And they've also have the championship experience. They were in the finals last year. They did beat a Chinese team, I believe, in Suning, to win the Worlds 2020 championships. They've been here before. They've been in a very similar situation. They know what to do. And that's why I am convinced that Damwon Gaming Kia will be hoisting the trophy once again for the second straight year, bringing it back to Korea, where the trophy likes to stay. I'm not going to lie, the Korean League is a very tough league to overcome. The North American side, in particular, has a long road ahead of it in order to conquer the vast majority of good teams over there in Korea. Like I said, 3 out of 4 in the Final Four coming from the LCK in Korea, with the only exception being Edward Gaming on the other side. So what can Edward Gaming do, speaking of, to win and take Damwon out of the championships and hoist the trophy for themselves? Well, honestly, they need to look at the 2 matches against T1, where T1 came out ahead, and they need to build on those. Patience is key for Edward Gaming, not overextending when doing dives or going after big jungle monsters like dragons or the Baron. They need to just play the game that they know how to play and not deviate from their plans, to be patient and wait and know when the play is unfolding in front of them and when the time to strike is, because any simple mistake, based on these matches that I've watched so far, any single mistake, and Damwon will absolutely crush them and take the game away from them faster than they can even translate what's going on. This is a team that you cannot give any quarter to, or else they will run roughshod over your entire squad. Do I think Edward Gaming can do it? If I had to put a percentage on whether or not I think Edward Gaming can come on top, I would say that I would predict an 80-20 no. 80% for Damwon, 20% for Edward Gaming. Edward does have some very good players on the team. Edward does do a very good job with the roles that they play. Like I said, they've played some very tough teams throughout this tournament. They've really had to deal with a lot, having to deal with T1 multiple times in their group, having to deal with Gen G last round in the semifinals. They've had a road. They've had a tough road. I do not want to discount them at all, but I just think that the absolute sheer power of this Damwon Gaming team will be too much to overcome for them. I feel like they're going to have a hell of a time getting around what Damwon does best. I have a feeling that it's just not going to go Edward's way. Even if there's a slight gold lead, you can never really take Damwon Gaming out of the equation. Like I'm looking here at Gen G versus Edward Gaming, Game 5, right towards the end here, where you have Flandry at 104, you have GG at 209, and then you have Viper at 416. A 1.5K gold lead in the for Viper, excuse me. A 3K gold lead for Scout over BDD. That's huge. And then Flandry with a 2.4K gold lead over Rascal in his lane. So that's the way they're going to have to play. Flandry on the Graves, Gigi playing the Jarvan as long as it's not banned, and Viper on the Jhin in order to get the win. But again, I'm trying to will into existence a new champion. Nothing against Damwon Kia, nothing against what they do. I just prefer new champions. So I immediately put myself in a position where I'm a quote-unquote against Damwon Gaming to take this. Do I think that's fair? No, not necessarily. But like I said, I just like seeing new champions. I like seeing new players come into their own. I like seeing what new players can do with the championship, and I want Edward Gaming to raise that trophy for the Chinese league, because I feel like they absolutely deserve it. Now, also Damwon, let's not forget here, in their match against T1, they were down. They were down a decent amount in both games. I think they were down 2-1 after game 3, and they had lost after a 14,000 gold lead, the majority of which came with Gumayusi over Ghost. But Damwon never quit. They were able to come back in game 4 and tie the series, and then come back in game 5 and win the whole thing. So no matter who they're playing against, they have the mettle, they have the drive, they have the ability, and honestly, I just don't see them losing. So Damwon Gaming is my choice for World's 2021 champion. Match, like I said, kicks off this Saturday, 8 a.m. Eastern on the LOL Esports, League of Legends Esports YouTube channel, streaming there live for anyone who wants to watch. I believe it's on their Twitch as well, and also on lolesports.com. You can get it right there. There's actually have a big event planned around Worlds this year with the Riot X Arcane, as the new Netflix show debuts the same day as Worlds, which is pretty cool. They have all kinds of different promos that are coming out for that throughout the entire month. So Riot has a big month ahead of them. A new, let's see, there's the League of Legends Arcane and the Worlds happening now. Valorant's getting a new hero. Teamfight Tactics is having some additions made to it as well. I'm hoping for an update on Project L, the supposed fighting game that they are working on right now. Would love to see more of that. But this is going to be a month to Riot, a month with Riot, and I am looking forward to seeing what they come up with. But first and foremost will be the end of Worlds 2021, a fantastic tournament that saw a North American team actually make it to the quarterfinals. Didn't go any further than that, unfortunately, but nice having a North American team in there. But at the end of the day, I think the result is going to be the same as it was in 2020, and Damwon Gaming, DWG Kia, Showmaker and the rest will be hoisting the World's 2021 trophy. Finally tonight here on Cheesesteaks and Controllers, we are going to talk about Guardians. Now, what do I mean by that? So, back in late October, Square Enix released a brand new game set starring the Guardians of the Galaxy, Marvel's ragtag team of heroes in a brand new single-player linear adventure, and I had the chance to play all the way through it. So now I am going to do something I have not done for a game in quite some time, and open up the grill. Let the music play. Man, it is beautiful. Yes, it is time for our review segment here on Cheesesteaks and Controllers Hot Off the Grill, where I take a game that I have recently played or a product that I have recently tried out and review it right here on the podcast for you, so you can get an idea of what to expect when you hop into that world or use that product for yourself. And today we are reviewing Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy by Square Enix and Eidos Montreal, the studio known previously for the Deus Ex Human Revolution and Deus Ex Mankind Divided re-emergence of the Deus Ex franchise. This was a interesting project for them to take. I thought maybe they were going to do one more in the world of Adam Jensen and Deus Ex, but Marvel came calling and they decided to heed the call. And at first glance, it's going to seem like there's a lot to be disappointed about. I know a big thing that when the game was revealed back in June was that you only played as Star-Lord. You didn't play as the rest of the heroes. It was just a narrative single-player experience. Wasn't any open worlds or galaxies to explore or anything like that. And honestly, those people that were immediately jumping on this game to bring it down or what have you, are missing out if they haven't actually played this game. The choice to just be Star-Lord and just be a member or a leader of this team of ragtag soldiers was the perfect narrative choice for a game like this. You still have enough control over your teammates that it feels like you are controlling all of them. You tell them when to activate their special abilities. You tell them who to activate their special abilities on. As you go through the game, you get ability points, and you can use those ability points to build not only Star-Lord, but the rest of the team as well. So it's not like they're just sitting there not doing nothing. It's not like they're just mindless AI partners that don't help or don't add to the experience in any way. It's not true. It's not true at all. The other members of the Guardians are actually some of the best parts of the game. And that brings me to probably the biggest strong point of this game, and that is its exceptional writing. The script writing, the story beats, everything about it from a narrative perspective is absolutely phenomenal. There were some moments in the story where, as it was playing out, I was seriously considering making this game my game of the year. Now, I have always said that story is the biggest part of a game for me. It's story, then gameplay, then graphics, in that order. I have since cooled off on that, but there was one scene in particular that I thought was phenomenally done. I'm not going to get into any spoilers or anything here, but it really adds a layer of depth to the character that it focuses around, and really brings that character into their own as a fully realized part of the team. And that, I think, is another big part of the writing that makes this game so good. It's that everybody on the team seems like they have a bit of weight to them. Even a Groot, who all he says is, "I am Groot," has this personality that comes out, even as Rocket is translating him. It never feels like he's just, the weird tree guy standing in the corner. He is a valid member of the team with valid voice that can speak his opinions freely, and the team can react to it. I love the dynamic of the Guardians and how it evolves throughout the game. And I love the witty banter that they throw back and forth at each other as they're trailblazing through the galaxy. The sarcastic quips and the one-liners and everything about it is just awesome. I absolutely love it. Makes me laugh every single time. I will say, though, that during battles that go lengthy, some lines will repeat. In fact, in later chapters, you'll hear lines that you'll remember repeating from earlier chapters set in the same location, which is weird. that they would just, replay the same sound bites, even if they don't technically make sense to the story anymore. It's just the game recognizing what stage you're actually in. But that's neither here nor there, because they are small little problems in a world of a fantastically written story, and I want to make sure that I focus on that part as opposed to the minor negatives that may be found. The game it breezes through you. It really does. It breezes right along. It did not feel like I had put in a solid 10 to 12 hours in this game. It felt more like watching a Guardians movie. It really did. This is if this story was taken as is and placed into the MCU as its own Guardians movie, it would fit right in. The villain is interesting. The settings that you go to are superb. All of the different characters, the way that they interact and the things that you do for them are wonderful. The writing, easily one of the strongest parts of Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. And I implore you that if you have started this game, or if you're about to start this game and you are afraid you will not finish it, please finish it, because the story arc and the ways that the characters get where they need to go mentally is just as important with how much damage they do physically. And it's a great story to behold. But one detriment I do want to talk about is there's a bit of jank. I'm not going to lie. There's a bit of slowdown in certain places. The frame rate tends to suffer from time to time. There's a bit of weirdness in things like multiple times during my playthrough, I was able to clip myself into the wall and not be able to free myself and continue fighting, which is annoying, because if I'm trying to get through a major, battle with multiple waves of enemies, and all of a sudden I have to reload my last checkpoint and start all over again through no fault of my own, that's annoying. That's not something I really like to encourage in my video games. I would like the missions to be completed when I complete them, and not have to worry about, just clipping into a wall and or getting stuck on a piece of the environment and having to start all over again. That's not something I need to be worrying about as I'm blasting through this world. But where there is jank in the battle system, there is very much not jank in the character models themselves, in cutscenes. They're very expressive. They're very emotive. Some of them look like they're jumping off of my screen. The facial technology in this game is very, very, very good. Some of the best I think I've ever seen. Wouldn't expect less from Eidos Montreal. The Deus Ex games also looked very good for the times that they came out. But I feel like something's going on here that is just puts it a step above the technology from before. I don't know if Square Enix just gave them, a little bit more money for their engine, or if Marvel stepped in with a little donation. I don't know what it is. But man, this game is gorgeous. Both in the, like I said, the character models and the locales themselves, the places that you go in this game. I'm not going to mention anything in particular because, again, I do not want to spoil anything about this game. The story is too good to have it spoiled for you by some dope on the radio. So I'm going to try my best not to do that to you. It's a fantastic story that takes you, like I said, to awesome places. Some of these planets are gorgeous. Like, you'll stop and look at the horizon for a second before you keep going. That's always the mark of a very beautiful environment, if the game lets you stop and smell the roses, for lack of a better term, in the worlds that they are bringing to you. You will go some places that are known to Marvel fans. Like, you'll go to Nowhere. That's been in the trailers before, and you'll see Cosmo, who is the best boy. You'll meet up with other characters from the Marvel comic universe, not so much the cinematic universe. I will say that about the story. If you're a cinematic fan exclusively of Marvel, you may not get as much out of this as a comic fan would. This was definitely made with comic fans in mind, and it shows. There are some characters that I had never heard before, and some characters I had only heard of tangentially through other video games and other media, but I'd never actually seen for myself. But very, very cool to see them do that, to be honest. I think the easiest way to bridge the gap for characters like this is a video game. Movies can do some characters justice when it comes to comic book heroes and villains and stuff like that, but I feel like video games are allowed to dip a little more into the what's the word I'm looking for? Not absurdity, but like that sort of lack of realism in comics that doesn't always translate well to the big screen. I feel like video games can dip into that a little more due to the interactivity of everything and the lack of cinematic realism, let's say. If I'm watching real people on a screen, some things that happen in comics just don't translate as well. A good example of that is if you've seen the Watchmen movie from the mid-2000s. The way that the comic book ends is completely different from the way that the movie ends, but the comic book ending just would not make sense in a movie theater at all. So that, I think, is what I'm getting at here. Like the things, the main villains of this game and the way that the story plays out makes more sense in a comic or a video game realm than I think it would in a movie realm per se. That said, I do think the story is still movie quality. I just could see where some things would need to be changed in order to make the jump to the silver screen as opposed to the video game screen. But if there's one thing I want to reinforce in this review, it's that and like I said in the beginning, I am a proponent of story first in my game. If it doesn't have a good story, it's not going to hook me. Gameplay second. If the story is lacking but playing through the game is awesome, I'm in. And graphics third. Normally, if a game looks good but the story and the gameplay aren't very good, it won't keep me. So graphics, I put a little less emphasis on. I do appreciate a good-looking game, don't get me wrong, but there are some games that I could have just as much fun with in 8-bit as I could in glorious 4K on my 49-inch television. But this here, Guardians of the Galaxy, definitely excels in the story element. It has humor, it has grief, it has intensity, it has solitude, it goes from super loud and bombastic to very, very quiet, very, very naturally. The humor is very, very good. I found myself laughing out loud or snickering multiple times throughout the game. Not just the banter between the characters, other things that happen during the game that just make you laugh. They're just genuinely funny things that are happening as you're playing through. Would I have liked a little more polish in my game? Yes, absolutely. I talked about the frustrations earlier. I do like the ability to collect things throughout the game. There are artifacts that you can find that you can then talk about with your teammates back on the ship in between missions. You can also find different costumes throughout the game for all 5 of the Guardians, most of which, again, reference the comics as opposed to the movies. I think that's the right call because I feel like this one is more catered towards comic fans, so those costumes should come from the comics. The movie Guardian of the Galaxy costumes are there. I will say that I used the Groot movie costume for the majority of my playthrough just because I think he looks better in the movie than what they chose here. Not to say what they chose here is bad, but I just like the Guardians of the Galaxy movie look for Groot, so I used that costume. But there are some really awesome costumes for all of the characters as you're playing through. Like the Catathian Monk one or the Cage Fighter one, I think is my favorite for Drax. You can find that throughout the game. I like Sunlord for Star-Lord and the Stinger for Rocket. Love the Stinger. And Gamora, I just like the generic one, the basic one is really, really cool looking. I didn't really deviate from her too much. I thought she looked good just the way she was. Or my favorite costume, I should say, was the one that she wears by default. But yeah, so that the collectibles, there's plenty to collect. There's plenty to do in each missions. It's not completely open world, but there are places off the beaten path where you can find like components for upgrading or these costumes that I'm talking about. It's also really funny when you go off the beaten path, the team tends to give you crap for it. Like there's one in the particular in the first chapter, you can't miss it, where you come to a fork in the road. And Rocket says, this way is definitely a dead end. We should go the other way. But if you decide to go down the way he said was a dead end to look for components or a collectible or whatever, I don't remember if you actually find anything. I don't think you do. But when you get to the end of the path, he says, hey, look, it's a dead end. Who knew? Who thought it would be there? And then as you're walking back to the right path, Rocket says, ooh, walk of shame. Should have listened to me the first time. Very, very funny. Got a big laugh out of me. And that's the kind of humor you find in this game, sprinkled throughout. Some may think that they banter too much. Some may think that they're just trying to sometimes fill silence by activating dialogue between the characters. I definitely see that at points. But other than the repeating battle lines that I mentioned earlier in this segment, I think all the writing is superb. And I think the game does a good job of making it seem like it's natural conversation and not so stilted or scripted, or you know what I'm saying? That's sort of like everything feels natural. Everything sounds natural coming out of their mouths. It's not just them saying, oh no, there is danger ahead, or something weird like that. But if I had to give a score to Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy by Square Enix and Eidos Montreal, putting it firmly in the 8.5 out of 10. I feel like the technical mishaps that happen, few and far between, are not enough to derail what is otherwise an excellent experience. Definitely one of my top games of the year. I don't think it's going to reach Game of the Year anymore, just because that particular part of the story really had me going, and then I thought about it a little more, and I was like, maybe it's not going to be full Game of the Year. We'll see what happens at the end of the year. But definitely going to be up there as one of the top. And I highly recommend that if you're a Marvel fan and you're looking for something to play, this will give you a great 10 to 15 hour experience with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Easily one of the surprises of 2021, considering it wasn't announced until June and it came out at the end of October. And something that I think that everyone should give a try to, Marvel fan or not. And with that, we are at the end of episode 72 of Cheesesteaks and Controllers, presented by Fox PHL The Gambler, 102.5 FM, 1480 AM, iHeartRadio. This is Jason Fidelli, the esports and video game insider for Fox PHL The Gambler. Thank you so much, as always, for listening. As I say every week, if you're hearing this part of the podcast, you've stuck it through to the end, and I really appreciate you doing so. The support I get from people who listen to the show means a lot, but I'm always looking for criticism and feedback as well. If you have something you'd like to add to the show, an idea for me, if you'd like to come on the show and talk video games, if you have a topic you want to discuss with me, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter at BigManFinelli. If you look there, my email address is in my bio, so you can get me there for freelance inquiries or interview inquiries as well. And I look forward to coming at you next week for episode 73. A couple of big things planned coming up in the next couple of weeks. A couple of great interviews, a couple of trips to different locales, like we went to the Union Esports Hub today. A big thank you to the Union for inviting me out there to see it. Once again, I want to make sure that I thank them properly. It was an awesome experience, great to see, and I'm looking forward to the next time I can get in there and play some games. But in the meantime, have a great weekend, have a great week right behind it, and I'm looking forward to bringing you more of the best in esports and gaming next week. See ya.